Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be spilling some tea. I'm going to be doing an Instagram Q&A and I'm going to answer questions that I've never answered before that I get asked all the time. For instance, what happened to Skylark Beauty? Would I change anything about my wedding? These are the types of questions we're going to be answering today. Before I get into the questions, I want to take a moment and talk about today's sponsor. BetterHelp is an online counseling platform that helps connect you with professional therapists that you can utilize from the comfort of your home. Many of us are new to spending so much time indoors in close proximity with our loved ones, our spouses, our children. It can be very overwhelming and it can lead to new anxieties that maybe you haven't had to deal with before. Therapy is a great place that you can express your feelings on what's happening in your life. If you are struggling with mental health issues like anxiety, depression, or general life challenges, you can work through this with your therapist. Anything that you share is confidential and you can work at your own pace and on your own schedule over secure video, phone call, chat, and text. Start living a happier life today. You can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/EF. You can join over 800,000 people who are taking charge of their mental health. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/EF. Thank you so much, BetterHelp, for sponsoring another video on my channel. I really appreciate it. All right, let's get into the questions. So the first question is, what is the most annoying thing that James does? And I have an answer for this because there is something that annoys me every single night. So we do co-sleep, we bed share. James sleeps with Alex and I, and this is something that, parents are either for or against. It's fine. I'm not going to get into that. But one thing about James is he is so controlling over my body and the position my body is in the night. He doesn't care about Alex's position, but I'm not allowed to turn away from him. I have to be facing him, and he wants one of my arms underneath him, and he doesn't care about the other one, but usually it's more comfortable for me to have the other arm on top of him, like spooning him. But if I get uncomfortable and I try to adjust myself, he wakes up immediately and he tries to reposition me by like pulling my arm or like diving over me so he's on the other side of me if I roll over. Usually I love snuggling him, so it's not a big deal. But sometimes if you're a side sleeper, you just really want to sleep on the other side. And he's a little bed tyrant. So that's the most annoying thing that he does. The next question is the song Secret Girl about you? So if you don't know, my husband is a musician and he has a channel here on YouTube. It's youtube.com/goopmusic. I'm sure you guys know. But he did release a song called Secret Girl about how he had a secret crush on this girl. And yes, it was about me, and actually he used that song to confess his crush on me. So we had been like chatting and stuff, so he sent me that song and he used that song to kind of confess his feelings. So yes, it is about me, and I do love that song. I also love that you can kind of follow the progression of our relationship through his music, starting with Secret Girl, and then when we broke up, he released the Wake Up Call album, which is very like I miss her type stuff. And then there's the proposal song, and then there's the wedding song. The wedding song is the best song I think he's ever done. It's called Helium. So yeah, it feels really special. The next question is, were you supposed to run the Amazing Race with Blair, but you couldn't because of your back? Yes. So we actually got asked to do the Amazing Race a few times. The season that Blair and my dad went on was not the first time that we were in serious talks with the Amazing Race about being on their show. We had been asked the first time when we were living in our apartment in LA. So it must have been like 2010 through 2012, somewhere in there. And I remember having a long talk with Blair trying to decide whether we wanted to do it together or not. And this was before I broke my back, so that wasn't even an issue. And I ended up deciding that I didn't want to do it because, you know what? I love the show. I think it's so interesting and I love to travel. But personally, that would not be the show for me. And I think that my dad and Blair had such a good time, and I know that they would love to do it again. I don't wish that I had done it with her because it just wouldn't have been the show for me. It wouldn't have been fun for me personally to be rushing through cities and not really being able to enjoy anything and subsiding on like no sleep and stressed out and anxious. That's not the show for me. So by the time the season came where Blair and Dad did it, By that point, I had broken my back and it just like was not going to happen. I am so glad that she and dad were able to experience it. I enjoyed it so much more watching it and hearing the stories about it than I would have. I would have loved to see all the places that they got to see. I would have loved to travel with them, but I just think it's important to know yourself, and there are shows that I probably would do okay on. Like I think Big Brother, if I wasn't married with a kid, I think that that would be such a fun show to go on, and I think I would really enjoy that show. Even the competitions like seem like competitions that I would specifically really find fun to do. I think everything worked out the way it was supposed to. All right, let's get into one of the tea questions. Would you change anything about your wedding day? So if you're newer to my channel, you might not know, but my entire wedding was branded by Brides Magazine, and they put a beautiful, incredible wedding together. It was the most beautiful wedding that I've ever seen, and I would have never had a wedding as beautiful if I did it on my own than I did with them. So the wedding itself, I was very happy with. One thing that I would change, there's actually two things. One was like pre-wedding, and the second was the day after the wedding. The day of the wedding, I wouldn't have changed anything. By the time I got to my wedding day, I was so happy that it was finally there. I was surrounded by all of my best friends and my family and Alex's family and his friends. I mean, the day of my wedding, I was so happy to have finally made it to that day and to be surrounded by so many people that I loved in such a beautiful, beautiful location and wedding that I wouldn't say that I would change anything about the actual day. The next day, one thing that I would change is we had a ticket to fly out the next morning to go immediately to our honeymoon. And our wedding was in Santa Barbara, California, and our honeymoon was in the Caribbean. So it was a super, super long flight. It was long. And the day after your wedding, you're so tired. I had had a lot of tequila shots. I had been up all night partying. We ended up having an after party in our hotel room where all of our friends came and stayed. We ordered pizzas and like we were up all night. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but I had bronchitis the day of my wedding. Yeah. If I could change that, I would have. I would have said, I wish that I didn't have bronchitis the day of my wedding. I came down with bronchitis 2 days before my wedding. Apparently, it's really common for brides to get sick, like right before their wedding, just the stress of everything. And I was a basket case prepping for that wedding. So if I could change the beforehand and make it where I was less stressed beforehand, and then make it where I didn't leave the next morning because we were just so tired. I think if we could have had one day at the hotel, spent some more time with our family, kind of rested that day, slept in, gone to bed early, repacked our stuff so everything was like nice going into the honeymoon, I think it would have been a lot less stressful. We left the next morning and it was a lot. I remember when we finally got to our honeymoon room, it was actually like the next morning because it had taken so long to travel there, and I was just so mentally zapped of everything. So yeah, I recommend not trying to travel out to your honeymoon the morning after your wedding. Give yourself a little bit of time. I don't know if every bride feels this way, but by the time I got to the actual day of the wedding, I was so happy to experience it and then be done with it. And that sounds nuts. I'm not sure you can really understand it unless you've been a bride. I have had two of my best girlfriends tell me they felt the same way about their wedding. It might just be that there's so much pressure going into it that no matter if you do it yourself or if you work with a wedding planner or if you work with a whole industry like I did, no matter what, it's going to be stressful because it's your wedding and you've thought about it your whole life and you imagine it to go a certain way. But I will say that the day of my wedding, I was very, very, very happy. And looking back on it, I wouldn't change anything about the day of. The next question is there any moment in time that you would want to relive? Yes, there are. I would want to relive the day Alex proposed to me. I would want to relive the day James was born, the day I got into my sorority, the day I got into my college. Yeah, there's a lot of days that I look back and I'm like, you know what? And I would relive my wedding day, just not the leading up to the wedding part. But the actual wedding day, 100% I would relive and enjoy every moment of it. And you guys, the cake and the food was so good. It was so good. Yeah, I've had a lot of like really good times in my life that I would want to relive. I wouldn't want to relive breaking my back, that's for sure. I've gotten a lot of questions asking me if I'm gonna get any more tattoos, like a ton of questions. Probably like 10 people asked me if I was gonna get more tattoos. And the answer is probably not because I've changed my mind or I regret the ones that I have. If you don't know, I only have two. I have this heart on my wrist and I have live on this wrist. I don't regret either of these. I would get them again if they like disappeared. Like, I love them, but I probably won't get any more. I just have kind of like, I don't want to say I've grown out of that phase because I don't really think tattoos are a phase. I just don't like have the urge to get more. I remember this was my first one, and after I got this one, I did want to get one more. I just like always had that desire to get one more, but ever since getting the second one, I'm kind of like, I'm good. I don't feel like I need to get more. Do you have any regrets about becoming a mom? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No regrets. Being a mom is the best thing that I've ever done. I truly feel like I was meant to be James's mom and hopefully mom to more babies. I would love to have more kids and just experience it over and over again. I absolutely love it. I have zero regrets. I think it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me, to be honest. All right, and then the last question we're gonna tackle today is about Skylark. I've gotten so many questions, literally for years, but even in this batch of Q&A, I've gotten what happened to Skylark? Did Skylark disappear? Is Skylark coming back? What's the tea with Skylark? So a lot of people want to know. And you guys, I've never talked about it before, but I went into Blairs' room before sitting down to film this video to just get her feelings on talking about it, because obviously anytime I talk about something that we had done together, it like affects both of us. So I just wanted to make sure it was okay, just like when I first revealed the whole reality show thing and that we had shot 3 pilots and had 3 contracts and stuff, I had asked her first if it was okay for me to talk about that in a video. And she said yes, that it was totally fine for me to address it, and then she might address it more in a video. She actually put up her first video in over a year, a couple days ago. If you're newer to my channel and you don't know what Skylark is, Skylark was the makeup line that my sister Blair and I released back in our heyday. This was in like 2012 or something. And it did really well, and then it disappeared without a trace, and we never really addressed it. And there's a reason for that. I'm gonna get into it in this video. So the first thing that I'm gonna say is that when we started Skylark, personality makeup brands were not a thing yet. This was before it became the norm for all the big YouTubers to have their own lines of stuff. You see all the YouTubers now releasing books and releasing lines of stuff and merch and all of this, and Blair and I did that a decade ago. I believe that we signed a contract that we should not have. And the reason I say that is because we were promised a lot of control that we then were not allowed to have. And I don't mean in the actual like colors and packaging and pigmentation and stuff. That stuff we did have a lot of control, and we spent a lot of time really spending time and swatching things and testing things, and we were really proud of the makeup that we did end up releasing. We did have a set of lip glosses, and then we had an eyeshadow palette and nail polishes. Oh, those nail polishes are so cute. B-Days and Cabo. I wish that it was like still available so that I could get a fresh bottle of that, because that color was so pretty, and we got really good feedback. If you owned those products back then, you can probably attest to it. People loved the products. We loved the products. We were proud of the products, and we were excited to continue on making more products. What ended up happening is we went to launch a perfume line, and it was kind of done in a strange way. Basically, I hope I'm remembering the details correctly, but I think we released like 3 little vials of 3 options of perfume and sent it out to people who pre-ordered, and then you could vote on which of the 3 you liked the best, and then that one was gonna become the full-size perfume that then was gonna be sent to everyone who had pre-ordered / voted in this Perfume. I'm pretty sure. I remember the perfumes being incredible. Like, I loved them so much. I can still smell it. I can still remember the smell of my favorite one of the three. It was so good. We did the pre-order, we promoted it, and the samples got sent out to people. And then we were contacted by the company, and they were basically like, we're pulling out and we're not going to do the rest of the perfumes. And we had no control over anything. We were not able to control any aspect of pricing or where it was sold or how it was sold or how it was promoted or where it was promoted. Like, a lot of the things, I think when we signed the contract, we were more interested in, are we going to have control of the colors and the formula and the pigmentation and the packaging? You know, that's like the surface stuff. What we didn't have control over was all of the other stuff, which we wished that we had, because we felt like while it was our face on it, a lot of decisions were being made without us that we didn't necessarily agree with. And the perfume thing literally was one of the things that like almost ruined us. We were told that we were not allowed to address it. We were not allowed to explain to people why this was happening. And everyone got their money back. So it wasn't like we scammed people. Like, I want to make that clear. Everyone got their money back. But I remember I was really pushing for people to get their money back and to get something else as like an apology for having them think this was going to work and then it didn't. It looked incredibly scammy. Like, we looked like we were being scammy, and that's what sucked. Because it was our face as the face of this company, we looked like we were being the scammy ones. Just felt like it wasn't enough to just refund in the middle of this whole like vote for your favorite perfume. Like, it was just tacky. It was not good. And then because we were told like, you can't address this, you can't explain to people why this didn't end up happening, it just made us look really bad. And I wish that I had like stood up for myself a little bit more at the time and maybe addressed it, but I didn't, and I was scared. Also, I will say that I don't actually know the reason that the perfumes did not end up coming to fruition. Blair and I think that what happened was maybe they had a threshold that they wanted to sell a certain amount, and they didn't tell us, and they didn't reach their threshold, and therefore they pulled out of the project. We were not told that there was any sort of thing. Now, this is all speculation. I actually don't know if this is even the reason. I just don't know what else it could have been. If there had been, like, say they said, we want to sell 10,000 bottles or else we're not doing it. I wish if that was the case, they would have been more transparent with us, because they weren't, and therefore we weren't able to appropriately promote it more if we weren't reaching certain thresholds. Does that make sense? After that, we walked away from the rest of the makeup line because we just did not feel that it was a partnership that we trusted anymore. And we never tried to launch a similar product afterwards. We were very much burned from the process. We never tried to launch another partnered company like that, where we were not in complete 100% control of our own brand. We concentrated more on Glitzy Glam after that, which was our little boutique that has since turned into Glam Planner, which was a company that we owned and controlled 100% of, and we just felt much better about it overall. So that is all of the tea on Skylark. I think that is everything. Yeah.
Oh. Are you filming?
Yeah, I'm telling them all about Skylark.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Did you... Wait, I kind of want to know what all you said.
I told them about the perfume. Was it 3 or 5 perfumes?
3.
Okay, that's what I thought. But then I said I couldn't really remember.
Yeah, no, it was 3, and I mean, I still have some of like the tester.
They smelled so good.
They still do.
I know.
And you know how some perfume, like over years, they just don't smell the same. They start to get that like alcohol scent. Ours don't have that. Like, they were really good.
I told them that I don't even know the reason that they backed out. I said that I guessed it was like a threshold thing that they just didn't tell us about.
Yeah.
But they never told us like why,
No,
which they just told us like you can't talk about it.
Yeah, I know. It like honestly
almost ruined us.
I think it did ruin me for a while.
Yeah. I said that too.
Yeah, we couldn't say anything about it, and it really just at the time I don't think I knew I could kind of stand up for myself, and maybe we couldn't.
I said that too.
Really?
Yeah. Blairs sitting on the floor, by the way.
I think we had really good times and really good things that came out of those like big years on YouTube, but that's one of the things that I look back and it kind of makes my stomach turn.
I know, me too.
Like it gives me this feeling, and I think that's why I left YouTube for a while. Like it is one of the big reasons why I left. Yeah. It just like gives me this feeling that I don't want to confront, and I don't think I have yet.
I mean, I don't think there's anything we can do. Like, we're confronting it now.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just still, like, gives me some sort of, like, guttural response that I don't like. I don't know. But have fun talking about it.
Thanks. So that's all of the questions that we have time for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and maybe it was a little bit enlightening on a subject that you guys have been wondering about and asking about for years. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much BetterHelp for sponsoring another video of mine. I really appreciate it. And I will see all of you guys later. Goodbye.